we're, 5 for 170, which gave us a lead of 3-4-7. So that was the big conundrum, what to do at that point. Do we call off the jam there and have a crack at them? Do we bat for half an hour, try and bat them out of the game, and then we can sort of maintain an attacking field for the remainder of the day?
I convinced a rather reluctant Alan at that stage to close the innings at the end of that day, because Alan's natural attitude would have been to go on.
Alan was pretty cautious, understandably, because we hadn't won a lot of Test matches, and we'd been struggling.
We know this wicket is starting to spin. We know it's got to break up sometime. The odds are all in our favour. If we're going to win this match, we've got to come forward and say we want to win the match, and the way to do that is to close.
So that was a pretty positive move and a change in a different direction from trying to save a Test match to actually try to win one.
The way I played my cricket, no way I could have put the shutter down and say, okay, relax, we just want to draw the game, no.
347, the target on the last day in 90 overs, it's not very easy. And Alan Border, when he gave that target, would have never imagined that anybody would go after that target.
India began the chase in typical fashion, with Shrikant leading the way.
Shrikant's a naturally attacking player, so he was going to go and play his own game. And Sunny picked it up from there, and Sunny batted really fluently and set it up. I thought that opening partnership really set it up. The runs came quickly, they were coming at over 4 runs and over. And, suddenly it was game on.
Australia finally got a breakthrough when Shrikant holed out. Steve Waugh running around from long off to long on to take a superb catch. India's hopes for victory rested very much on the shoulders of their batting genius, Sunil Gavaskar.
If I could hang in there till about tea time, then we had a good chance that we'd have a platform for the likes of Kapil Dev with their extraordinary stroke producing ability to be able to take us to a win.
Gavaskar launched his assault on the Australian bowlers, unleashing a full array of shots in what proved to be a truly majestic display of superb batting.
I remember him actually defending a ball with no follow-through whatsoever against Bruce Reid, and it just going for 4 straight down the ground.
I still have nightmares about it, to be quite honest, because he was just in scintillating touch. Well, I hadn't seen him in that sort of aggressive, just go for it type mood.
When he gets down, he's on song and playing those cover drives off, basically on his knees. He's so fluent and gets down through the ball. You think a bit of the, oh no.
Down on one knee, hitting Craig McDermott through covers. I mean, I hadn't seen him play that shot ever before. All of a sudden, he's producing this sort of cricket just when India needed it.
India were 2 for 193 at tea, needing to score 155 runs in the final session, including 20 overs in the last hour.
But yeah, there was a stage there where it looked like the game slipped away from us. India realistically should have won it pretty easily coming into the last session.
At 90, Gavaskar miscued from Bright and was caught by Dean Jones in the covers.
This was just the break the weary Australians needed to get themselves back into the match. Greg Matthews obviously agreed.
He was such a guy who could do anything to disturb the opponent, and he can change your concentration so easily, because he can do so many funny things on the ground. And suddenly you say, man, let me play cricket, and suddenly you see he come out and say something, or he jump around and he talk to the crowd.
The vital dismissal was Kapil Dev. He was caught by Bright off Matthews for 1. The score then 5 for 253.
We all thought that as long as Kapil Dev's in the crease, everything would be very easy. The moment Kapil got out, slight jitters started running into us, and I think that's where the Aussies also started putting more pressure.
Kapil was walking out. I made sure I went from the other side of the side screen. I was the vice captain of the side. I let him come in here, and so he couldn't see me. I went from the other side because I didn't want any message. In my mind, it was pretty clear that we're still going for it. And as it happened, the first ball I went down the track, literally met Ray Bright even as he left the ball and hit it through the covers for 4. And the field had been brought up at that stage by Alan Border. That first ball going to the boundary meant the field went back, and I said, geez, these guys are serious, it's still on.
Ravi Shastri played a brilliant innings, to be quite honest, because he mixed resolute defence, knocking the ball around, ones and twos type scenario, with some big hitting. And Ravi was a massive hitter of the ball. I mean, when he hit a 6, it used to disappear, halfway up into the stands.
You had to attack early on because we were still behind the 8 ball at that stage. You needed someone to go. And I remember hitting a couple of boundaries and a couple of big 6s of Craig Matthews, and which went into the crowd. And the game was set then. You knew you didn't have to do anything silly, and you would win this game.
Needing to average 6 runs and over, Ravi Shastri maintained India's victory charge, hitting Matthews into the stand.
In the morning, I would say that there might have been 5, 6, 7,000 people there. By the end of the day, it's nearly chock-a-block. As the news went round the bazaars and the markets of Madras that the game was getting tight and India may win. Ravi Shastri used that strength of the crowd and the support of the Indian people that came in that afternoon, and I've never seen anything like it at a cricket match. You see it more so at a tennis match or a footy game or something like that, but he was remonstrating to them to lift them more and more, and the noise got louder and louder and louder, and that sort of intensified our nervousness.
The gallery is in absolute rapture.
As if coping with Ravi Shastri wasn't already enough, coping with the conditions also became a problem.
Ray Bright and Greg Matthews were obviously pivotal players for the last day, but Ray had sort of had a cumulative effect over the 4 days of cricket. Bowling on the last day, he became disorientated and very dehydrated and crook, and basically had to leave the ground.
It was a long day, and I thought I just wasn't switched on, and I thought maybe there might be someone out there that might be a little bit more alert, feeling a bit better than I was, that might be able to do a job, because I was getting a bit tight in that situation. I thought I just needed to go off for a little while to refocus.
The unsung hero for Australia on that final day was off-spin bowler Greg Matthews. After claiming 5 wickets in India's first innings, Matthews defied the heat and oppressive humidity to bowl virtually unchanged.
Greg Matthews was very, very strong mentally, and amazing, the whole day he kept bowling in that heat with the cap on.
I can understand him bowling in the cap all day with the bright sun, but to have a sleeveless sweater on and mid-30 degrees and very high humidity, it worried us a bit.
I think the closest I can come up with was the typical Greg explanation that he once saw a show on the nomadic herders, and these guys who were rounding up sheep or whatever in the deserts used to wear the woolen coats to keep the cold air in and keep the hot air out. So that was his theory. But I think for Greg it was more than that. When I look at it a bit closely, it was almost Greg saying, look, this is not too tough, we can do this, and I'm going to show you by wearing 2 jumpers that I can do it. Pushing myself to the limit. I can still bowl 39 and a half overs on the last day wearing 2 jumpers, so what are the rest of you guys doing?
To bowl that period of time in that heat, and the last ball we got compared to the first ball was exactly the same. The effort was the same, the intent was the same, the intensity was the same, and Greg Matthews really, really played for Australia that day.
I think we do forget Greg's performance, an all-round performance in that game. 10 wickets and bowling basically all the last day. Just extraordinary effort from him. And he made a couple of scores in the game, 20s and 30s type scenario, so he contributed with the bat as well.
Several acrimonious incidents finally unsettled Pandit, who played on to Matthews. And the message was clear as the 6th Indian batsman departed.
It did get heated. It was a pretty spiteful match to look back on it. I think both sides knew how important that match was to the rest of the series and to the development of both those sides. India was a pretty experienced side and wanted to stay, I guess, ahead of us in the pecking order. For us, we wanted to get a bit of a reputation as a decent side.
Well, we're all human. We all sort of err sometimes in those sort of scenarios under pressure, and both sides were guilty of it. But